Chapter 11. Shattered Illusions. Rain battered the corrugated roof of the storage silo, masking the muffled tension inside. By the weak glow of 2 lanterns, Selene watched as Draven sifted through pages and data drives scattered across a battered table. Her eyes felt raw, like she hadn't blinked in hours. They'd spent the night poring over the newly acquired files, snippets of horror stories about detained Dreamweavers, incomplete logs of experiments, and grim speculation on the fate of those who vanished. A hush fell as Ethan pushed away from the table, running both hands over his face. "Nothing definitive about that detention facility," he muttered. "No layout, no guard schedules, just testimonies from survivors who escaped. We don't even know if Selene's parents were sent there or somewhere else." Selene's heart twisted at those words, the fragile hope she'd clung to feeling more precarious than ever. Are they still alive? Could we be too late? She swallowed, forcing composure. "We'll find another lead," she said, more firmly than she felt. A tension-laced quiet settled. The Watchers needed direction, needed something to rally around, but all they had was a handful of half-finished puzzles. Ava, seated near Selene, rubbed her temples like she was fighting off a headache. The empathic strain, Selene realized, was taking its toll. So many roiling emotions pressed in on them: fear, suspicion, heartbreak. Suddenly Lyle kicked aside an empty crate, the clatter echoing. "We're spinning our wheels," he snapped. "We've got illusions and scraps of intel, and the organization's still steps ahead. If we keep going like this, we'll just get picked off." His gaze flicked around, daring someone to argue. Draven leveled a cool stare at him. "We have no choice. The illusions, especially Selene's Oneiric Fusion, are our best weapon. We can't rely on brute force against the regime's technology." He paused, voice gentling as he glanced at Selene. "But illusions aren't everything. We need strategy, caution, and unity." A bitterness flashed in Lyle's eyes. "Unity," he echoed, his tone thick with doubt. Then he clammed up, arms folded tight. Selene felt the weight of that single word. Unity, an ideal they desperately needed, but day by day, cracks in their trust widened. Between the traitor rumors and their repeated near misses, it felt like illusions were all that held them together, and illusions, by nature, could shatter. They relocated again at dawn, skirting the deserted factory blocks in the grey drizzle, searching for a more defensible hideout. The Watchers had scouted an abandoned textile plant near the city's edge, its looming smokestacks rusted and silent. Once inside, they barricaded doors, set up guard rotations, and carved out corners where each could rest or work. Ava summoned Selene, Ethan, and a few others to a secluded loft above the main factory floor, a space once used to store fabrics. A tattered tarp now shielded them from the leaky roof. "We'll try a small-scale shared dream again," Ava announced, eyes dull with exhaustion. "Focus on illusions that can protect us from infiltration. If we perfect a dream barrier, maybe it'll shield us from the organization's next breach." Selene's stomach churned at the thought. Last time, the black mist had overrun them. But she'd grown since then. She had to believe that. She took a shaky breath, exchanging a tense nod with Ethan. "Let's keep it small," Draven advised, pressing a handheld device into Ava's palm. "This stabilizer should help, but we'll maintain a lookout for any sign of infiltration. One sign of the organization's interference, and we cut it." With Watchers standing guard at the loft's perimeter, Selene, Ava, and Ethan sank to the floor, closing their eyes. The faint hum of dream stabilizers vibrated at the edges of her hearing. Slowly, the world's clammy chill faded as they sank into the familiar darkness of the dream realm. Warm sunlight kissed Selene's cheeks, and she opened her eyes to a rolling meadow dotted with wildflowers. Ava's constructed dream environment was simpler this time. No elaborate illusions, just a peaceful field under a soft blue sky. Ethan stood at Selene's side, his expression calm but watchful. "All right," Ava said, her voice carrying the same melodic authority it had in the waking world. "Let's practice layering illusions. We'll craft a barrier, reinforce it with empathy, Then see if your Oneiric Fusion can stabilize it, Selene. Selene nodded. Her heart fluttered with a mix of anticipation and dread. She pictured a shimmering wall around them, something like glass, but alive with energy. She exhaled, coaxing that flicker within her chest to manifest. A transparent barrier flickered into view, curving around the meadow in a protective dome. Ava reached out, weaving empathetic calm through it, and Ethan anchored its edges with his lucid focus. For a moment, the dome felt solid, reassuring. Then a tremor rumbled through the dream. A faint crack splintered across the dome. Panic lanced Selene's chest. Was the organization invading again? She poured willpower into the cracks, trying to fuse them shut. Ava's face twisted in concentration. Focus. Don't let fear in. The crack wavered, but darkness seeped around the dome's edges, swirling like a serpent made of ink. Selene gasped, adrenaline spiking. She felt a presence, cold, ruthless, clawing at the dream from outside. Anxiety flared and the dome's fractures multiplied. She and Ava tried to hold it, but the illusions strained under the assault. A sudden voice, deep and echoing, reverberated through the sky. Enough illusions. Your time ends here. The dome shattered like fragile glass, shards of dream stuff dissolving into nothing. Selene reeled, a wave of disorientation choking her senses. Ethan caught her arm, mouth set in alarm, but the world warped, pulling them from the dream in a painful lurch. They jolted awake in the loft, hearts racing. The watchers hovered around them, alarmed. Draven knelt nearby, eyes cold with fury. We spotted a disturbance in your dream signals, some kind of infiltration again. We had to cut the connection. Selene pressed a hand to her chest, breathing raggedly. Her illusions had failed once more. The barrier, shattered, she whispered, shame gnawing at her. It was like they knew exactly how to break it. Ava's shoulders slumped. They're getting better at pinpointing us, or someone keeps feeding them information on our dream sessions. A stifling silence settled, everyone weighed down by the realization that their illusions, their best defense, were cracking under the regime's relentless pursuit. Outside, the wind howled across the abandoned plant's high windows, echoing the dread in Selene's mind. Lyle stepped forward from the gloom, expression grim. You see now, we're fooling ourselves, trusting illusions to keep us safe. They're nothing but fragile dreams. His accusatory gaze swept over Selene and Ava, leaving an ache in Selene's gut. Before Draven or Ethan could respond, a watcher burst into the loft. Enforcers, patrolling close. We have to clear out now. Selene's pulse thundered. The watchers sprang into action, gathering what few belongings they had. As they raced down the dusty stairs, she couldn't shake the echo of that mysterious voice in the dream. Enough illusions. Her illusions felt more fragile than ever, shattered by a malevolent force that lurked on the edge of every dream. And with each new breach, the group's hope cracked a little further. As they slipped back into the city's labyrinth of shadows, Selene felt tears threaten, bitter as the cold wind against her cheeks. If illusions were all they had, they might already be lost.